My father, boxer Muhammad Ali, used to train right here. Not only was he my hero because of what he did in the ring, but because he spoke up to help others. He taught me to do that as well. That's why I'm here to talk to you today. 4 out of every 5 Black American women are overweight or obese. This is a reality we don't always talk about, but it's one that is dangerous to our health and to our well-being. And unfortunately, it can have a ripple effect on our families, including our children.
Khaliah is spot on about that ripple effect. It's important for Black women to pay attention to the choices that we're making, not only for ourselves, but for our family, because we are the center of our family and our culture. We take care of our children, our partners, our parents, all of them rely on us. So it's essential that we make the right choices so that our families can be healthy, productive, and live long lives.
As someone who has struggled with their weight and the mindset surrounding it, it is important to me that we have an open and candid conversation. To help do this, I'm joined by women who are willing to share their successes as well as their struggles. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Absolutely.
I feel honored.
So I have to say it's just so significant for me to be here at my father's training camp, sitting in the shadows of where he worked so very hard toward goals that, created such success that carry me and bring me here today. And I think all of us can feel the energy of that. And I know all of us as women have our own battles and stresses and struggles in our own lives, and we fight our own fight. And I wanted to talk to you about what has this journey been for you, and what does it mean for you to be here today? Why don't I start with Alicia?
Okay. When I was young, I would say I was very athletic. So I never really had a lot of weight issues. I was always working out and, I was playing basketball. But after college, I got in an accident and I fell and broke my ankle. So through that surgery, I was down obviously for 9 months.
How old were you at this time?
I was 26, I believe.
Pivotal time.
Being down, that's when the weight started picking up and not being able to move around and things like that. So once I got rehabilitated, it was like a catch-22 because I wanted to work out, but I'm dealing with this pain in my ankle. So it's like run, run, run.
The beginning of the journey has started. The fight has started.
Absolutely.
And I know, Rhea, you, like me, also chose surgical weight loss as a method for success.
Absolutely. I've had weight issues my entire life. I was born a chunky baby.
Haven't we all, by the way? Yeah. Probably all of us probably remember weight since childhood.
Yes. And over the years, I always enjoyed working out. I always enjoyed doing something athletic, but the weight didn't come off because food was my friend. And everyone was always, we're happy, let's eat. We're sad, let's eat. There's always a reason to eat.
And in our culture too,
Absolutely.
Right? One of the reasons that brings us all here today,
Yeah.
as Black women, in our culture, it's part of our love.
Yes.
How we give and express and share love and our family and our gatherings and some of the foods that we love and hold so dearly.
Oh, yes.
We've got to modify.
Absolutely.
Right. And then,
Absolutely.
Of course, Jean, I know, congratulations. You have crossed that finish line. You're maintaining your weight.
Right.
And unlike Rhea and I, you've done it with someone, say, the good old-fashioned way.
Right. Well, for me, unlike a lot of other people's story, I felt like I didn't really grow up with that weight issue. But, as I get older, I also had my son at an older age, and having a son during that midlife menopause years, that's when the weight it's just stubborn, and it just takes a lot more work. It can be done, and that's one of my, my voice to tell women that it can be done, and not really looking at weight as, this outer appearance, but more importantly, what it does to our health.
And you did mention the word appearance, and I think that's the complicated thing, again, especially within our community, because we're very comfortable with size. We love size. We know we're big and beautiful.
Yes.
But at the same time, health plays a vital role too.
Absolutely. Being positive about your body at every stage is essential to great mental health and good body image. It also helps you make healthy choices. But it's important to remember that excess weight that is associated with being overweight or obese is also associated with comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, chronic kidney disease, just to name a few. So it's important to love yourself and love your body at every size, but be considerate of your health and making sure that we're putting our health first over our aesthetics.
So has anyone ever had any comorbidities, or have you lost anyone struggling profoundly with diabetes or any cardiac issues?
My grandfather passed away, heart attack, 45 years old.
Wow.
So he was definitely, this is something,
It's too real.
Yeah, so.
45, too real, too
That's
young.
Very young.
Yeah, my great-grandfather died of an aneurysm from high blood pressure. He was 40 years old, which I'm 40 and it scares the life out of me. Yeah. But my dad passed away from a host of health problems. And my mom currently suffers from diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. You name it, she has it. And it's just, somehow it skipped over my grandparents who are really healthy. But it cycles over and over again. And it's almost a thing where when you say it, oh yeah, he has high blood pressure, it's not even, no one's like, oh my goodness, what happened? We're just like, oh yeah,
it's become commonplace.
It's very common.
Part of our community in particular, which is something really important to mention. We disproportionately are suffering.
Yeah, and it's so, you're so right, it's so accepted. It's almost as the norm to hear someone in their 30s and 40s dealing with
or sadly has passed away.
Yes, and I see it.
All too real.
Yeah, so I kind of have a red flag up because I recently got diagnosed with high blood pressure and I'm still in my 30s. So just talking to you about my grandfather, I'm like, whoa, I need to really see, hone in and see what is it that I'm doing. I really need to see a doctor, make sure that I'm doing everything that I can, because it was a little bit scary to me. It didn't seem like it was commonplace. It was like, wait, hey, I'm pretty healthy. Why is it? But it kind of woke me up.
It wasn't when I heard my first diagnosis, and I commend you for hearing one and feeling like now I need to make some changes. For me, it was a few. And once, I made it to 370 and couldn't sleep and had heart failure and high blood pressure, pre-diabetic, all these things, and the stress, the mental health issues, everything piling on at once. And I could feel the weight. It felt heavier than just the weight that I was carrying. Yeah. And that's when I knew, okay, something's got to give. I need to try something else. And I had tried many diets, all types of.
Haven't we tried everything at this table?
Yes.
Probably everything.
Yes. And I said, I need something that's actually going to make a difference. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And it was the best decision I ever made. I'm so grateful. Yeah. So proud of you. Thank you. I'm proud of myself.
And you should be proud of yourself, Ria. As a bariatric surgeon, I have heard many patients say those exact same words. I am so glad I made this decision, or I wish I'd made this decision sooner. The bariatric candidate is someone who has struggled, as you have heard earlier, struggled to lose weight, sometimes over many years. They've tried many interventions and many diets, and it is meant for someone who is roughly about 100 pounds over their ideal body weight.
COVID certainly impacted the world, but it disproportionately affected the Black community as well as those who were overweight. What's been your experience? I know for me, being in the house around food, inactivity alone is destructive.
I know for sure I gained at least 30 pounds, at least. And that's from me not getting up, because I'm home, I'm watching TV, now you're binge watching shows.
I know I gained at least 20 pounds. That's when I made it up to 370. So I definitely
Was that the highest weight? You reached your highest weight during COVID?
Absolutely. And that's when I knew I needed to make that turnaround.
Unfortunately, Ria's story is not a unique one. She, along with a lot of my patients, including myself, hit our highest weight during the COVID pandemic. It was a very trying time that also included a lot of mental health strain and stress that can directly affect the health choices that we make.
We now had many people confined to their homes. We had increase in their caloric intake. They had access to food 24 hours a day. They did not have access to getting outside and to exercising and utilizing and burning calories like they normally would. And that showed up on the waistline, on the scales, and many other places. And it made many people decide this was the time that they would go and take a look at what they could do to increase their weight loss.
Let's talk about what that means when it comes to the decisions that we have to make each and every day. So what are you doing?
I'm trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in my diet. I think even in the African American community, there's more corner stores that sell junk food. You know, there's not the accessibility right there to walk to the corner store and get something like a fresh apple. You know, you have to travel a little bit further out.
I grew up in Baltimore City, and like you were saying, like the corner store was right there. We lived in a food desert. There wasn't access to a lot of fresh fruits. Whole Foods was not down the street from my house, you know, so I could not just walk and get fresh produce. And we had to, get in the car and go to the grocery store in order to get fresh produce.
And Ria, after a surgical procedure, I know you've made a lot of changes. I can relate to that personally.
Absolutely. Having to reduce my carbs and definitely incorporating more fruits and vegetables, finding alternative substitutes instead of rice. A lot of times I'll use cauliflower or broccoli, and definitely seafood is my friend.
Certainly after bariatric surgery, we do expect certain lifestyle changes and changes in your diet. So we want to make sure that you are getting the most nutritious meals as possible. So meals that are high in protein, high in fruits and vegetables, and low in carbs are the way that we are going to proceed. We also want to make sure that you're incorporating exercise, that it really becomes a part of your lifestyle.
I absolutely agree with Dr. Johnson, but it's not just for those who just had surgery. Those changes are important for all of us, like brown rice instead of white, more vegetables on your plate instead of carbs. When it comes to exercise, we would like just to walk outside and take a walk. But if that's not something you can do, you can turn the music on, dance, move your body, get your heart rate up, and keep it there for 30 minutes most days of the week. All of these things are small changes that we can make together.
I think we learned a lot today. And so then let me ask you, what advice would you give to other women for themselves, for their family, and for our broader community?
I believe it is incorporating everything to take care of myself and spreading that around. And definitely putting my health first.
Put yourself first. I love that. Always put yourself first. But also know what habits that you want to be passed on and carried on, right? Like eating a certain way that should be passed on. Using food as a healing method as opposed to, I'm feeling sad, so let me go grab the box of cookies, right? Just passing down those habits and not seeing food as the enemy.
Alicia?
So I think just communicating to other Black women is just don't be too hard on yourself.
It's a good one.
You know, come up with a plan that works for you. You know, we live in a culture with social media. We're always comparing ourselves to other people. And a lot of times that's just a filter and it's not even really them. So it's really taking a look at yourself, knowing where you are, knowing your outside circumstances, because some people have support, some people don't.
And especially in our community where a lot of times we have lack of access to finances to go to a gym or not access to the best quality food based on where we live. So what can we do with the resources and the access that we have today. But maybe we can get something, you know, in a better quality than what the regular corner store is offering. Or the farmer's market. Now it's, you know, the summertime, you see a lot of pop-up farmer's market. So how can we change that narrative, not only for ourselves, but for our family? Because they say when women change, when you make that impact, you have an impact on the whole family, your children and the rest of the community.
I think for me, as we sit here in the shadow of my father's boxing ring, one of his quotes just rings so true to me. And that was, more or less, I hated training every day of it. But I knew if I suffered now, worked hard, I'd be champion forever. And collectively, that's what I hear all of your voices saying. It's step by step, day by day, never putting down the gloves and always keeping up the fight. And most importantly, continuing just to love yourself and embrace yourself along this journey.
I agree. I love that.
I do too.